This video is sponsored by Reeflex. Hey, so in recent years, more and more content creators like me are using their phones more and more for their content. This includes photography, videography, or even short YouTube videos like this one. Plus, with all kinds of new tools and features available for phones like shooting in log, better editing raw tools available, it's just so much easier to take higher quality images and videos using your phone. So even though phones like the Galaxy S25 Ultra or the iPhone 16 Pro have gotten that much better in terms of camera hardware and post-processing, there's still a ton of limitations that you do have to think about. First of all, since these phones are so thin and so compact and nice to hold, they have a lot of limitations in terms of just space. Now, there are some OEMs that provide up to a 1-inch sensor, but this is a physics problem and you just can't fit that big of a sensor into this thin of a hardware. The two most popular smartphone brands, Samsung and Apple, especially have really small sensors compared to some of their competition. There are Chinese OEMs like Xiaomi, Vivo, and Oppo actively putting up to 1-inch sensors into their phones. But even though those phones are thicker and putting bigger sensors into their phones, even those have some limitations. So you can probably guess that Samsung and Apple, who put smaller sensors into their phones, have even more limitations. Now, on the software side, even though there are new features to really personalize your look and give you a little bit more than what smartphone photos offer, like photographic styles on iOS and filters on One UI, there's still a lot of limitations with what the post-processing can do on these little sensors. But after trying out these sorts of external lenses on my Galaxy S25 Ultra and the iPhone 16 Pro, I started getting results like these. So these are the G series lenses and filters by Reeflex, and unlike those proprietary lenses that only work for certain phone models like what Xiaomi's been working on and what Vivo has offered so far, these lenses work with all kinds of Samsung phones and iPhones. Basically, without buying a new camera or replacing your phone, you get a lot more camera out of your current phone. So Reeflex's G series lineup come with all kinds of different lenses, and they all provide a unique look to each and every lens. There's a telephoto 2x, so most smartphone cameras only have optical zoom at around 3x, 5x, sometimes 10x, and they also have it for 2x for budget phones, but those telephoto lenses are just not that great. But having this on your main lens makes it so that the 2x optical zoom is your default baseline shot. Now, most of my shots come from 2x anyway, so I don't have to resort to digital cropping or digital zoom anymore. This is just like my default mode thanks to this lens. And this is the wide angle 110 degree lens. Pretty self-explanatory. This way you don't have to resort to the lower quality ultra wide lens on your smartphone camera. You just put this on top of your main lens and you retain that image quality. Then there's a macro 10x and a long range macro 10x to get you even more macro options for really close up subjects. Then there's also the fisheye 220, which gets you those experimental unique shots with the fisheye lens. Then this big thing is the anamorphic 1.33x cinematic lens. This lens is mostly for shooting in those cinematic aspect ratios, and it's also got subtle blue flares to really get you those movie-like shots. Then this is the super telephoto 240mm lens, and is by far the most powerful lens out of this whole lineup. It gets you by far the most optical zoom out of all these lenses, and it's surprisingly pretty light even compared to the other lenses, so not only is it the most powerful, it's also one of the most portable too. This even supports macro add-ons on top of the lens, so you just kind of stick on a macro lens like this on top thanks to the magnets, and it's just super easy on and off. And even on top of these lenses, you can also put these magnetic filters on top, so you can add a totally different vibe to your photos and videos. So this one is a variable ND filter, and this one gets you more control over your exposure while giving you really natural colors. So this one's good for all kinds of different situations and environments, so it's a really good option for just a run and gun shooting. Then this is the CPL filter, which not only gives you richer contrast and better balancing of saturation, it also reduces reflections for water, glass, and other surfaces, so it's nice for harsh lighting conditions as well. Then this is the black mist filter, which also gives you the similar benefits of richer contrast and better saturation levels, just like the CPL. But the difference with this one is it gives you a subtle haze and glow to your shot, so it adds a more cinematic feel. Now, if you want to see more real-world examples of these Reeflex lenses used by other people besides me, make sure to go check out Reeflex's Facebook group called Reeflex Piazza. A bunch of other Reeflex users are posting their own shots and videos, so it'll be worth checking out. And even though these are technically just smartphone accessories, the hardware quality on these are actually really high. And as soon as you get your hands on these, you can just tell high quality these are just by the materials on these. This is all made with multi-coated glass and brushed aluminum housing. So these are also really durable, so you can take these out wherever you go for travel and even outdoor photography too. How all this works is actually really easy. So basically you just have your bare phone and you put on your G series compatible case. Now this case is available for a ton of iPhone models out there, including all the 16 series and almost every Ultra model from the S23 to the S25 series. And you get a G series lens like this, and you just screw it on top of either the main lens or the telephoto. It depends on which lens you're using. Each lens comes with its own set of instructions, but most of them are compatible with either the telephoto or the main lens. And it's already good to go. So thanks to the magnetic system on top called Remag, you can put magnetic filters on top of these lenses just like this. So by the way, for the filters, you can put it directly on your smartphone lens by itself, but with these step-up adapters, you can put these filters on top of the lenses themselves to get this killer combo. So yeah, you can just use the lens itself or with the filter on top of the lens or just the filter by itself. So it's a pretty flexible system. So with the filter and lens on, you just turn on your stock camera app and there you go, you're basically already using them. So this might seem a little advanced and not familiar to you, but it's honestly a really straightforward and easy to use system out of the box. So basically, instead of bringing a whole separate camera around, you can just have your phone as your main camera while bringing some of these lenses around. And for iOS only, Reeflex even has a pro camera app that gives you even more customization and control over your iPhone photography. This app supports Pro RAW and 48 megapixels, so you don't have to worry about that baseline. You get pro camera level manual controls, which is much more intuitive than the stock camera app's manual mode. There's also advanced tools like zebra stripes, focus peaking, live histogram, so you get much more control and tuning just like a professional camera. And even outside of Pro RAW, this supports all kinds of different formats, so you get a ton of flexibility there. So if you do have an iPhone, not only do you get a hardware upgrade thanks to these Reeflex lenses and filters, you also get a software upgrade as well. So after trying these out, I definitely have some favorites. Definitely my most used one is the Telephoto 2X. Like I said, most of my smartphone photos come from 2X digital zoom. With the 2X lens, I get much less digital noise and less compression. It retains so much more detail for 2X shots without having AI filling in gaps for me in weird ways. So yeah, you get much cleaner, finer details. Images don't look as flat and you get much more depth of field. So it really gives you that vibe of taking a photo from a real camera instead of a phone camera. Plus the CPL filter on top of this lens gets you really nice color reproduction as well. So typical smartphone lenses have a hard time with harsh lighting with weird balancing of contrast levels. So using the CPL filter on top of the Telephoto 2X makes my photos look even nicer. And the Super Telephoto 240mm is definitely my favorite lens out of this whole lineup for taking photos. Like I said, this is the most powerful G series lens and you can just see why. It basically gets you 10x plus optical zoom, so you retain all the detail without the usual downfalls of smartphone processing. I've been really liking the results I've been getting with this lens. They've been super promising in both daylight and low light situations. You can tell with all the stuff going on in the background, this thing maintains all the details even though it's super far away. I especially really like the contrast and color reproduction I'm seeing from these photos. Very natural colors that resembles what you get from a mirrorless camera. And just like the Telephoto 2X lens, you get really nice bokeh with photos that have depth. They're not flat looking like how smartphone photos usually look. So by far out of all these lenses, this definitely gets you the most camera-like results, which I really like. Then on the video side, I really like the wide angle lens. So I like to vlog a lot using smartphone cameras because it's so convenient. But one thing I don't like about them is that they're kind of cropped when you're shooting even at 1x. Plus the ultra wide lenses on these smartphone cameras are usually the worst one out of the 3 lenses. So what I like about the G series wide angle lens is that this goes on top of your main lens. This wide angle is definitely a lot more interesting for video and makes it feel more like a POV, which I really like. Plus with the variable ND filter, you get ideal natural color reproduction and more control over your exposure. So it's really ideal for all kinds of different lighting situations, which applies to vlogging everywhere you go. So basically using this wide angle lens plus this variable ND filter makes you suitable for all kinds of different situations and environments. So it's perfect for vlogging. So another lens I like using for video is definitely the anamorphic lens for those more experimental cinematic shots. I definitely wouldn't call myself a filmmaker, but I like to take those more cinematic experimental shots from time to time. And shooting with this lens gets you that 2.35:1 aspect ratio, which makes for some really cool looking video clips. And with this black mist filter on top, not only do you get more balanced saturation and richer contrast, you get this subtle glow and haze, which makes your shots look even more cinematic. So I definitely was super skeptical of all these lenses before getting them on hand, but after trying them all out, testing them one by one and trying the different combinations, I'm actually really impressed with the results. So with a bit of hardware help like these camera lenses and filters, I was actually really surprised that the phone stock camera sensors aren't actually that limiting. Plus, with the Reeflex Pro camera app on iOS, these G series lenses and filters upgrade your phone photography experience, not just in hardware, but software too. So if you're looking to totally upgrade your phone camera hardware, your photography, and your videography without having to buy another phone or camera, definitely make sure to go check these out using the links below and use code HOYOUNG10 at checkout to get 10% off. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about all these different shots from these lenses, and another reminder to go join the Reeflex Piazza Facebook group to check out nice shots from other creators too. Big thanks to Reeflex for sponsoring this video, huge thanks to you all for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.